Just a quick explanation of how I'm sending MIDI CCs from Oscilab to an external MIDI source. I know you're using modular synth. I'm going to use an app. I'm going to use Bassline on my iPad mini, and it's going to receive MIDI CCs over the network from Oscilab on my iPad Air. Okay. I'm also going to synchronize them. So first thing, Bassline. I'm going to open it up. I'm using Bassline because it has a list of MIDI CCs in the settings, which is really handy. So if I'm just going to start off with a fresh new session, so there's nothing in it, and I'm going to program a random sequence. And the first thing I'm going to do is, on the very first step, I'm going to put a really high note and make it slide, so we know where the one is, so we can synchronize. We know that they're synchronized when they are. Okay, now Ableton Link is turned on, so if I go over to my other iPad and turn on MIDI Link Sync, they should connect together. There we go. And I'm going to use MIDI Link Sync to send clock to Oscilab so that Oscilab and Bassline are synchronized. So if I open Oscilab, here we go. Again, I'm going to start a new session on Oscilab, and I'm going to mute everything except for the first synth and one drum part, the 808, just so I have an 808 kick so that I can check that they are actually synchronized when they're synchronized. So if I go into the first synth, I'm going to change it from synth or samples to MIDI. I'm going to send it to channel 1, which is the channel that I've got Bassline on. I'm going to send it to network. Okay, and also in the settings, I'm going to go to MIDI clock, receive from MIDI Link Sync. Okay, so the first thing that should happen when I press play on Bassline, if I start the MIDI clock, and MIDI Link Sync, we should hear the kick drum from Oscilab. Okay, so it's not perfect, but I'm using Wi-Fi, so okay. So to start programming it, I'm going to go to, where am I? Okay, the first thing we're going to do is remove all the notes, because I don't want to sequence any notes in Bassline. It's got its own sequencer, but I am going to sequence some MIDI CCs. Now if I go into Bassline, the MIDI setup tab, also I need to connect to the MIDI network, so it's receiving voice input from network session 1, and if I look down to MIDI network driver, there's my other iPad. I just press and they're connected. So there's a list of CC numbers here. So I'm going to choose the first one, wave filter, and I'm going to use the filter cutoff in Bassline, which is 74. Wave amp, I'm going to use what shall I do? Volume. So that's CC number 7. So number 7, and pan I'm going to use for delay mix. That's 87. Okay. So if I get everything going, so the first one, filter, I'm just going to sweep the filter upwards. Amplitude, which was the volume, maybe do something like this. Pan, which is the delay amount, maybe do that. And I'm going to do it over a few bars, maybe 4 bars, yeah. Okay, so if I start Bassline, I'll go into MIDI Link Sync and get ready to start that MIDI clock. Okay, Bassline, here we go. And then I'm going to start the MIDI clock on MIDI Link Sync. And immediately, if I go over to the synth parameters, you can see them moving. If I go to Oscilab, okay, so this is the cutoff. Here we've got the volume. You can see that moving there. Okay, and here is the delay amount. Okay, it all works. I hope that helps. Best of luck.